love you. Let me love you.
Hey.
You're going to get off of it today and be like, she was grumpy.
But you had the cute puppy.
I love you too.
All right. Substack is taking its time.
Yeah, I think that. I don't know what's up with the hearing there. I can hear you here fine.
What's that?
I said I hear everything that you say here fine, so that's a Substack thing.
Substack. Absolute pain in my ass.
Okay, let me move my notes over here. It still isn't showing you live.
Nope. Not seeing it either. It still says stream is pending until broadcast. That's not very helpful.
What was that? What was that, Bob?
Says stream is pending, but I'm still waiting. Let's take a look here. La la la, la la la. Unable to connect. Jesus Christ. Are you kidding me? You guys are killing me.
No.
How about now? Aha.
Okay, maybe I just need to go back.
Do we have video though?
Yeah.
Yes, finally.
We're good. Good morning, everybody. We're having some
wow.
technical difficulties this morning that are really frustrating.
Ugh.
But we do have a guest star today.
Aww.
Isn't he cute?
It's Mr. Florida Woman Rants.
Look at him. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Hello. Say hello. Say hello. See? No, stop it. Let me shake your hand.
Oh, you're his chew toy. Yum, 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 yum.
You're not being very well behaved.
Is he ever well behaved?
No.
Exactly. See, Bob was just a preview for Nathan.
It's so funny because Nathan is always like, you didn't train your dog correctly. You did a poor job. And I said, apparently I did a poor job of training my kid too.
Ooh.
He didn't like that. Okay, goodbye. My brother's going to kill me. Sorry guys.
How tall is Nathan now?
Oh, he's pretty tall. He's like 47 inches.
Damn.
Yeah.
I saw that picture you posted. I was like, what the hell? When did he get so tall?
What picture?
I think it was on Instagram.
Oh, of him and Asher?
I guess so.
With the other kid?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's Asher. What are you eating? What is it?
Hi, everybody.
No, you're not going under the bed. That's a bad boy.
Welcome to the dog training episode.
Sorry.
What's up, Kathleen?
My dog is eating something he's not supposed to be. Lay down. Here. Oh.
Did he just growl?
Oh yeah, he's mean. Give it to me. Thank you. You're so rude.
It's the Westminster Dog Show.
Sorry, guys.
See, this is the fascinating content that you all come in for.
I apologize. He had plastic in his mouth.
We all have plastic in our mouths these days. Not macroplastic, but whatever.
Okay, so that's Restream. Let me close that. I have two. Ouch. Little fucker. He got me.
Are you going to turn into a werebulb on the full moon?
That would be nice.
You're going to get really fuzzy, roll over and demand treats?
Yeah, somebody to pet my belly, and then as soon as they start petting me, I'm going to bite them. It'd be very like him. Bob, lay down. Stop trying to get into trouble. It's his first time It's the first time he's been here since we moved out.
Surprised he's not trying to pee all over the place and remark his territory.
So that's why he's in this room, because I'm concerned about that. Which is so funny because he doesn't ever pee where we're at now. Never. Just outside. He always goes outside. But here, I think because there's other animals, he's like, oh, I smell you, bitches.
Hey, how's it going, Patrick? All right. It is 11:41. Shall we get started?
Yeah.
Yeah, we had all kinds of technical difficulties, so we are super late.
And a little grumpy.
Well, I blame all of that on Florida Woman, including the grumpiness.
A little grumpy today.
All right, let's get this show on the road. Episode 97. How to prepare for Trump's oil shock. So exciting. All right. Me. La 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 la. This is the Opinionated Ogre Podcast, your weekly rampage through current events with a little snark, a bit of foul language, and a lot of strong opinions. There are new episodes every Thursday, and they're not safe for work or polite company of any kind whatsoever. I am your podcast host, the Opinionated Ogre, who, unlike Donald Trump, the so-called president, does think about Americans' financial situation a lot. And this is my co-host, Florida Woman, who also thinks about your financial situation. Hello, Florida Woman.
Good morning, everybody, or afternoon, or whatever it is.
I mean, depends on the time zone, but in the United States, it is still morning in America, and we still care about your financial situation. Unlike Donald the moron Trump. I can't believe he actually said that out loud.
I know, that was crazy. I only read a headline that came through, like a notification, and I was just like...
It's like the ad just writes itself. It's like, there's your midterm ad. That's all Democrats have to run on. Donald Trump, he doesn't care about your financial situation because he's a billionaire.
Yep, he wasn't before, but he is now.
Yeah, I was looking at, I showed Anastasia last night. You know the guy on TikTok who does the cups? That guy? I forget his name. But he has he always does the illustrations using the cups. Like he does like the whole thing. It's like this cup. You haven't seen those? No. Oh my God, I have to send it to you. He's amazing. He basically does, like, he shows you with representations using plastic drinking cups in different colors. Usually it's red and blue, but he also has like black and white, whatever. Just what it looks like in different things. Like, how much of a tax cut the Republicans have given to billionaires versus how much tax cuts they've given to you. And, what it looks like in actual real terms. Each cup is worth $1 million, and he just stacks them up in huge pyramids against the wall so you can see exactly what it really looks like. Because if you say billionaires got, well, $1 trillion and you only got $5 billion, you don't really get that until you see what it actually looks like in like a representation. And it's brilliant. This guy's brilliant. So what he did was he took how much money all the presidents over the last 100 years have made while in office. Turns out it was $40 million. All of them over
Probably
the last
from
100 years.
probably
All of
from
them.
books and stuff.
Yes. And compared that to Donald Trump, who in just the last year has made $3 billion. And he just stacked it up. You had this little tiny stack of cups against this enormous pyramid of cups. And it was like, yeah, 40 million versus $3 billion. It's like, that's not, he's a financial genius. It's like, that's just straight up corruption.
Yeah.
Every president in the last 100 years has made $40 million total, all of them together, including the ones who were actually billionaires when they went into office, which would be the Bushes, right? They were oil billionaires. And then you have this guy who has made $3 billion. Straight up corruption.
Yeah.
I gotta say, I think I sent you the video on TikTok, actually. You should look at it. This guy is brilliant. So
yeah, I'll look at it.
Anyway, this is the recording for May 14th, 2026, and we have a lot to get to on episode 97 of the Og Pod. Ready to do this?
Yep.
The yawning aside, let's get to it. It's time for the organization news update.
Yay! Sound effects. I almost said side effects. Anyway, before we get into the main topic today, we would like to note that inflation has jumped to 3.8%, the highest it's been since April 2023, explicitly because of Trump's idiot war in Iran and the closing of the Strait of Hormuz. Worse, wages are no longer keeping pace, so your paycheck is now worthless. Yay, I feel that. You know, and it's all because Donald Trump decided to start a war that he doesn't know how to end, and it's only going to get worse from here.
Yep, very, very excited about all of this. So the main topic today is the oil shock that is coming, which is going to make inflation way, way fucking worse. That's not what we're talking about specifically today, but since inflation is rising and your paycheck is not, you should think about that. The oil shock is on its way. It's not that it's on its way. It's already here. We just haven't felt it yet. You may think you're feeling it because gas is $1, $1.50, $2 more and getting worse, but it has not fully hit yet. It's about to. Now, the New York Times had an article sometime over the weekend, sometime last week, explaining that it takes a month for oil from the Strait of Hormuz to reach gas stations in Japan, right? The day it leaves the Strait of Hormuz, it takes time to travel. It has to get to Japan. It has to get processed. It has to get loaded up on trucks. It has to move around, yada, 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 yada. And then it finally gets into people's cars at gas stations. We here in the United States are significantly further away. It takes way longer for it to get here, just because of geography, right? We are way further away from the Strait of Hormuz than Japan. Our infrastructure is slower. Like Japan's is pretty modern. Ours is, I mean, it's not that it's like old and junky exactly, but it's not nearly as quick as Japan's. And we are a much larger country. Even once it gets processed, it still takes time for it to get dispersed. We're looking at 2 months minimum. And That's if the strait were to open today, which it's not going to, because Trump cannot end this war without looking like he's completely lost. And Iran does not have to give him anything because we have, in fact, lost this war. But Trump can't admit that because he's a strongman, and losing a war is fatal to a strongman regime. I mean, it's happened over and over and over. This is what topples the Russian governments. They start a war, they lose it, and the strongman gets ousted. So he cannot end this war without getting Iran to say, hey, you actually won. And Iran's not going to do that because they have no incentive. They control one of the most important pieces of infrastructure in the world, the Strait of Hormuz. And they have no reason to give that up. We cannot force them to give it up. So, oil shock. It's going to hit here sometime in June or July. If we're unbelievably lucky, it'll somehow linger until August. I would not bet on it. I'm pretty sure it's going to be here sometime in June or July, if not sooner. We are almost at the end of our mitigation efforts. And I'm not talking about just the price of gas. I'm talking about the actual physical, we do not have enough gas. At the same time, well, actually not at the same time, there's going to be a harvest shock hitting in the fall because there's not enough fertilizer. Or even if we were able to get enough fertilizer, it was way more expensive, which means your crops are going to be more expensive. And that's going to be in the fall, right? Things are going to start getting more and more expensive. And if we didn't get enough fertilizer, it's too late to do anything about it, even if the strait were to open now. Planting season's already underway. That window's closed.
And to harvest the crops, what do they need for their machines?
Diesel. So, again, all of this is going to get more expensive, which means they're going to pass the cost on to us. Farms do not have a huge operating margin. They can't just swallow those costs. They'll go out of business. And if they go out of business, nobody's getting nothing from them. Now, here's the thing you need to understand. I'm starting to see articles preaching hysteria, okay? This is an article, this is the actual headline of an article. 8, all caps, 8 weeks to empty shelves, 60 days to famine. 2 days ago, it was restacked almost 1,000 times. I don't even know how many times it's been restacked at this point. I can't even imagine. This is not a helpful article. There's not going to be a famine in the United States. We produce too much of our own food for there to be a famine in the United States. We are a net exporter, not a net importer. This guy says, stop paying your credit cards and your mortgage and save money for the end times.
Oh, don't do that.
Don't do that. Do not do that. He's talking about how there's not going to be any more oil. There's not going to be any more gas. The trucks are going to stop delivering food.
I can't hear you.
Sorry. Yeah, he says there's not going to be any more oil. The trucks are going to stop delivering food. There's not going to be any more diesel. This is not helpful. This is reckless fear-mongering. And he got a nice boost of subscriptions, and I'm sure he's enjoying that. But it's completely fucking irresponsible. We're not about to enter Mad Max.
Was this on Substack?
Yes.
Oh, God. It's a Facebook article on Substack. I hate that.
Yeah, that's exactly what we're looking at here. And I've seen other articles like this. And this is no one I subscribe to. This is not someone I subscribe to. They just popped up on my timeline. And I'm starting to see more and more doomcasting be pushed by Substack because Wild predictions of the end times boost engagement. So I'm assuming that means we're entering Substack's clickbait era. And so excited about that because we've been on Facebook and we see where that leads. Nowhere's good. Yay. So exciting. This is not what's going to happen. What's going to happen is there's going to be less, not necessarily empty shelves, but the shelves are not going to be quite as stocked. Shit is going to get more expensive. The more sane articles about this have been telling people go and buy shit now because the dollars you spend now are going to be worth way more than the dollars you're going to be spending in 2 or 3 months, which makes a lot more sense because
we've been talking about this for a year.
Right. The can of beans you buy now is going to, the 5 cans of beans you buy now, that's how much a can of beans is going to cost in like 2 or 3 months because the prices are going to go up. Partly because there's going to be a shortage, but also because it's just going to cost more to produce and ship. So, this is what we're telling you to actually do. Not panic, not go get a gun and get ready for Mad Max. It's not incredibly different than the stuff we've been telling you to prepare for when it comes to economic downturns and government shutdowns. Except now, instead of people with vulnerable jobs and government jobs, this applies to everybody. Get stable, shelf-stable foods and make pantry space to store it. If you don't have a closet or cabinets that you can store shit in, buy plastic storage bins and stack them.
They cost like $8 at Costco.
Yeah. It's easy to get these type of bins. Get large plastic bins and store your food in them. This is especially important for the stuff that's not in cans or glass jars. And the reason is if, depending on where you live, if you have rodents or other creepy crawlies,
weevils.
Yeah, you don't like if it's in a glass jar or in a can, it's not an issue. But if it's in a cardboard box or if it's in plastic, stuff can get into that, and you don't want this. This is stuff you're storing for several months. If it's in a plastic bin, though, chances are nothing's getting in there, and you're going to be fine. So, cans, jars, you can store those out in the open. They're going to be safe. Everything else, if it's in a plastic container, like a plastic bag, or if it's in a box, go and store that in a plastic bin with a lid that locks. So, do that, and this is what you want to go and get your hands on. You want to buy rice. Even if you're not a huge fan of rice, rice is good for you. Preferably brown rice.
Or quinoa.
Brown rice and quinoa is better than white rice, although white rice is not terrible. But if you're just looking for straight nutrition, quinoa and brown rice are better. But still, white rice is not terrible. So, and it's cheap. You can make a lot of it. You can buy like a huge amount of it, and you can make a nice meal from rice and other things. Beans. Canned. You can buy a ton of that. It's not expensive.
High in protein.
Yep. Dry beans, if you know how to prepare them. I do not know how to prepare dry beans, so I have to get canned. Yeah, I never got around to learning how to do dry beans.
I'm taking your Latino card right now.
I know. I'm ashamed of myself. I was going to, and I just never got around to it.
Oh my God, it's the easiest thing in the world.
So I've been told. You throw it in a steamer with water. It does its thing, but I've just never actually done it. But 1 can of beans can feed a family of 4 for like 2 meals. It's really not complicated. That and a couple of cups of rice, you've got dinner for a few days. So, rice, beans, there's a whole bunch of different types. So if you want variety, you've got kidney beans, you've got black beans, you've got...
There's a lot of beans, guys. We don't need to go over all of them.
And let me go into my Forrest Gump thing.
Yeah, shrimp fried rice, shrimp cocktail.
You've got pasta and sauce. You can stock up on that. It's pretty cheap. And you can get the stuff to make sauce if you know how. Making your own sauce is very easy. It's cheap and you can freeze it.
You can get SpaghettiOs too. Sometimes they're like 10 for $1 at the store.
Yeah, now I tend to avoid those because they tend to be a little high in sodium.
No, yeah, but kids like them. I think that you're a fucked up if you eat SpaghettiOs. I don't trust people who eat SpaghettiOs, but I hear they're good.
I used to eat them as a kid, but what are you gonna do?
I'm just teasing. My friend recently was like, "Hey, we should go rent a cabin," and I said, "April, no offense, but you eat SpaghettiOs out of a can. I don't trust you."
Peanut butter is high in protein and it stores on the shelf for like years.
Yes, we love a good peanut butter.
Jelly is not as necessary, but it's still tasty to go with your peanut butter. Powdered
Or
milk.
fluff.
What's that?
Or fluff.
Powdered milk is also easy to store, and you can store a lot of powdered milk. Now, it's not great for cereal, but it's good for cooking. It's also good for a snack when you combine it with peanut butter. You take 2 cups of peanut butter and a cup of powdered milk, you combine them, and you roll it into balls, and you put it in the fridge or the freezer, and those make for great little snacks.
Oh, and then you can dip them in chocolate and make Buckeyes.
If you want to go that far, but if you also you can just mix in some honey and make it a little bit sweeter, but it's not super necessary.
Well, you can also put oats in them.
Yep, and you just have this perfect little snack. Kids love it. It's super easy and it stores very, very well, especially if you toss it into the freezer. Then you can just pop it in and just sit there and just kind of chew on it. It's fantastic. Cans of soup and chili. A can of soup is a meal. A can of chili and some beans is a meal for a couple of people. If you're not picky about what kind of soup you eat, you can buy this in bulk or on sale. There's a ton of different soups, so you have a lot of variety. Same thing with chili.
Also, can I just say really quickly, for those of you who live in the Southeast, as you know, hurricane season starts at the end of this month. So you should be doing this anyways, because you're going to need that if a storm hits.
Yep. And it's, like I said, this is good. This is just good to have an emergency stock of food on hand anyway.
I have hurricane PTSD from canned soup.
But yeah, soup and chili. There's a huge variety, so it's not like you're going to be eating, chicken soup every night for a month. Tons of variety.
I know, it's crazy how much, like half an aisle of soup variety.
Exactly.
And if you have high blood pressure, get low sodium.
Yep, because they do have a tendency to have a lot of salted soup. So, also the cans last for years. So even if you don't get to them, they're still good for a long time, and you can just eat them bit by bit. Nuts and trail mixes. If you're not allergic, they've got a lot of protein. They got a lot of fiber. They last a long time as long as you store them properly. And it's good for a snack, but it's also good just to keep you going. A lot of nutrition in there. Same thing with protein bars and granola bars. They're tasty. They're healthy. They last a really long time. If you're worried about protein, pick up canned meats like tuna, chicken, ham. A little fuzzy on that one, but salmon,
Spam.
Spam. I like Spam. Claudia likes Spam. Mrs. Ogre, not so much, but it's protein, and that's if and when fresh meats becomes too expensive.
Hey, but just so you guys know, if you're going to be eating protein, make sure you're eating fiber too. If you're not eating fiber, your protein's not getting absorbed.
Right. I'm getting to that. Canned vegetables. I am not a huge fan of canned vegetables, but if the harvest goes badly, fresh vegetables are going to be expensive, and you can't just stop eating vegetables. But pick them up now while they're still cheap. For my part, canned corn and carrots are the least objectionable on their own. The rest, they're tolerable when they're cooked in recipes like stew or shepherd pie or, just mixed with other stuff. It's a little late in the season, but if you live in the warmer parts of the country and you still have the open space, grow your own. It's not that hard to do. And like the little boxes of fertilizer, they're not super expensive right now. Florida Woman's already been pulling in. What did you been growing? Zucchini, cucumbers. What did you harvest already?
Well, first of all, saying that I'm pulling in it is
Okay,
generous.
what are you, the plantation owner, whipping your family members to do?
My cancer ridden uncle is growing me um, summer squash, delicious. I've like a million tomatoes. Ooh, we just started getting eggplant. I planted basil and thyme the other day. So,
Yeah,
oh, we have a lot of peppers.
yeah. This stuff is not hard to grow as long as you've got sunlight and water.
Yeah, and to be honest, if you live in like the warmer areas of the country, you can kind of plant them whatever. You just got to do a little bit more prep if you do it during the summer. A little bit more, they need a little bit more care in the summer, I would
Right.
say.
Like I've got tomato plants. They're starting to flower already. I've only had them for a month.
Man, I have like a million cherry tomatoes. It's crazy.
You want to get dried fruit like raisins, pineapple, apple slices, because you need fruit too. Do keep in mind that because they're dried, there's a higher concentration of sugar. Like you can eat a whole lot of dried pineapple compared to what you would normally eat with regular pineapple, and it's a lot more sugar when you do it that way. So just keep that in mind. Um, Wheat crackers, not like regular crackers. You don't want to sit there and get a whole bunch of saltines. Get wheat crackers. They're a good source of fiber. And if you get tasty ones like Triscuits and Wheat Thins, you can make a meal of that with some dry fruit and cheese.
I love a good Triscuit pizza.
Exactly. I'm pretty sure cheese is not going to be a huge problem because it's dairy and you can get like most states make their own cheese. It's not just Wisconsin. And we don't import, we import some cheese, but, we're still going to be able to get cheddar. So, but you're going to need crackers. Crackers hold for a really long time. And it's not that, it's a good source of fiber. So there you go. Because if bread starts becoming an issue, crackers. So also stuff like oatmeal is another thing. That's also a good source of fiber, and it holds forever in your cabinet. As long as you have it sealed properly, oatmeal lasts for like a gazillion years. And it's a good breakfast. And you can do a lot of other stuff with it. So these are just some of the stuff. Don't forget spices and condiments and stuff like sprinkled cheese. Like you can live on plain pasta and sauce, but it gets boring. So the flair and the flavoring is important. You're going to need salt. You're going to need sugar. You're going to need all the flavorings that you get. People tend to overlook that stuff, and then with an emergency, it's like, oh my God, I need ketchup, and I don't have any. It's driving me insane. Think about that stuff. So this is the type of stuff you're going to want to go and get your hands on. You don't have to buy it all at once, but you do still have a couple of weeks, a couple of months before things start getting really, really nasty. Like I said, the oil shock is coming. It's almost here, and the prices of stuff are going to start going up pretty fucking fast. One upside of all of this, which I've just started seeing other countries are starting to institute this, and they're going to fight this tooth and nail here because Republicans hate this, but they're not going to have a fucking choice. Expect to see a big fucking return of teleworking because if we're running short on gas, people aren't going to want to drive to work anymore. They're going to be like, I can work from fucking home. I don't want to spend $80 a week, $100 a week to fucking drive to work. I'd rather work from home because you're not paying me enough to drive into work every day. Screw you. So, and another way to save energy is not have the office running. We'll let people work from home. I promise you, they're going to fight this tooth and nail because they just got us all back into the office and they're not going to want us to return home.
Oh, Joe said stock up on your pet's food too. Yes, do that. Also, if you find yourself having a couple of extra dollars, maybe donate some stuff to the food bank because remember, food insecure people are just going to be more insecure.
Right. And the regime is doing everything possible to make that worse. They're
Yes.
they're cutting off aid to food banks, et cetera, because screw those people. It's the Christian way. It's what Jesus would do. All right. So that is a quick and dirty guide to preparing for Donald Trump's oil shock and the fall harvest shock that we are probably going to see unless we get very, very fucking lucky. So fingers crossed that doesn't happen, but better be prepared than to find out the hard fucking way. Stock up on these foods, and worst comes to worst, you'll be prepared for a weather emergency or some kind of other emergency where things get shut down temporarily. And over time, you just go through this stuff and you just replenish it and replace it. And if you run into some rough economic trouble of your own, you've got food for a month or two. You don't have to go food shopping for a bit. Never hurts to have food on hand. I
Yeah.
know prepping sounds weird and it's just an odd thing to do, but these are the times we live in. Where you have to plan for eventualities that you shouldn't have to plan for because we have an incompetent fascist government who wants things to fail because honestly, at the core of their being, they fucking hate us. They hate the people of this country. They hate this country. And the more pain and misery they can cause, the happier they are. So you have to be prepared for, just an insane amount of cruelty. Even if it doesn't make sense, this is the type of shit that they do. So be ready for it. And this is how. All right. Let us move on to an Epstein update. We haven't had one of these in a bit.
Aren't you guys excited?
Yay!
So last year we covered the story of Ghislaine Maxwell being moved from a higher security prison to a lower security federal prison in Texas. The Trump regime broke the Department of Correction rules by moving her there because she was a convicted sex trafficker. So she shouldn't have been allowed in a lower security prison. Still, they moved her.
All sorts of perks.
Yes, which we will get to. Now, a couple of her fellow inmates have come forward and spoken out to CNN, and they claimed that they were punished for revealing her special treatment. Julie Howell was one of those former inmates. She was a white-collar criminal that stole like $1 million from a school. I mean, that's a big deal, but, not a sex trafficker. She said that she was contacted by a reporter through her husband. And she told the reporter that nobody wanted Maxwell there because she was a violent criminal who groomed and trafficked kids for Epstein. She also complained to the reporter that she and her fellow inmates were losing privileges that they had before Maxwell was there, just because she was there. And she was really worried about the safety of the other inmates because Maxwell was such a high profile and hated prisoner. The warden, Tanisha Hall, spoke to Howell after she contacted the media, or the media contacted her, and reprimanded her for speaking to the reporter. Howell, the inmate, claimed that the warden whined that her cell phone had been blowing up all weekend and that it ruined her weekend. Like, oh well, that's what happens when you take a job as a warden. Sometimes you get contacted on your weekend off, my friend. Hal was then reprimanded for disruptive conduct, mail abuse, and contacting the public without authorization. Wild. Because I'm not really sure, but doesn't the First Amendment still apply?
Even to prisoners.
It's weird. Oh. And then she was shipped to a higher security prison in Houston shortly after. Howell is now out of prison, though she is still on parole. And she's a little bit concerned that speaking out is going to get her into trouble, but she did anyways. She said that while she was in the prison in Houston, other inmates were shipped there too, like her former inmates, the former inmates. Some of them were shipped to the Houston prison, and they said that they'd been transferred because they spoke out against Maxwell's presence. And then another inmate talked to CNN and said that Maxwell was given special treatment, including unlimited toilet paper, which that's crazy. I was a little bit surprised about that because I'm like, why wouldn't the inmates have unlimited toilet paper anyways? You know what I mean? Like, well, especially
I know you can make a shiv out of toilet paper, so.
What?
Well, they make a shiv out of anything.
Oh, that's true. But not in a minimum security prison, I wouldn't expect. She was also, the guards delivered her food and water to her, which was wild to me. Like, wow. She's being waited on. And then she had access.
Did they do it for her too?
And then she had access to restricted areas and the chapel for visitations. Okay, so you're not letting the inmates go into the chapel to practice their religion because Ghislaine Maxwell has a visitor. I see. And armed guards were escorting her around the prison.
Well, make sure she's safe. Prisons are dangerous.
Right. So the inmate who revealed all of that spoke to a reporter in September. And after she talked to the reporter, the warden allegedly screamed at her in front of everybody. And then she was reprimanded for contacting the public without authorization. And experts said, hey, it's not illegal for inmates to contact reporters. It's totally fine.
Well, it is in Trump's America.
Yeah, that's true. But it was interesting because, this is another example of the Trump regime protecting a pedophile at the expense of other people. Yeah, these people committed crimes, but that doesn't give the prison system a right to abuse them. And here we are.
Unfucking believable. I'm still pretty convinced that once the midterms are over, Trump's going to pardon her. He's waiting until after the election to pardon her.
That would be crazy.
All right. Now, on Tuesday, members of the Democratic Oversight Caucus held a shadow congressional hearing with Epstein survivors. The hearing was held in Palm Beach, close to Mar-a-Lago, and also where the dead sexual predator used to lure girls as young as 14 to be raped by wealthy men. So the point of this was to make sure everyone is still aware that the Epstein files is not done, because Trump really, really desperately wants this to go away. And it's not going away. And it doesn't matter how long the Iran war goes on and how much Trump screams about his ballroom, people are still talking about the Epstein files. A new victim came forward for the first time, whose name was Rosa. She came to the U.S. at 18 years old from Uzbekistan. She came as a model. Epstein got her visa for people with extraordinary abilities and then proceeded to rape her for 3 years.
Doesn't that sound familiar?
It does sound familiar. I think it was called an Epstein visa. I mean, an Einstein visa. Now, another woman detailed how she was raped at the age of 14, and she lobbied to have the feds enforce the Crime Victims' Rights Act, but a federal appeals court denied it because of the no prosecution agreement. Alex Acosta, who was in Trump's first administration before getting fired because he helped a pedophile, he signed this no prosecution agreement with Epstein back in 2007. Democrats are promising a new report about this non-prosecution agreement that everyone knows was there to protect Epstein, the pedophile, and was why Trump hired Alex Acosta in the first place as a favor for protecting his friend Epstein, before everyone started asking, hey, what's up this whole non-prosecution agreement? And then Trump said, yeah, I got to fire you. Sorry.
Yeah,
No
which is
loyalty.
it's so crazy that they might have actually had seen some punishment vetted out had it not been for Alex Acosta's deal.
Yep. Fascinating.
Crazy. Well, in other news, there's a pop-up exhibit in New York City where more than 3.5 million pages of partially redacted Epstein files are on display for the public to read. The Donald J. Trump and Jeffrey Epstein Memorial Reading Room is located at the Raya Gallery or Mariah Gallery. I'm not really sure how to pronounce that. I'm sorry. It's MRIYA. And the organizers are from the Institute of Primary Facts. They have described the files as a, quote, physical, undeniable record of corruption, cover-ups, and crime. So that's going to be fun. If you want to go see that, since Congress won't read. Well, I mean, they have released them, but in such a messy way that it's hard
almost
to
like
just...
almost like they're making it difficult to go through them.
Yeah, it's like having something poured on top of you and telling you to like try to grab it in your hand. They're pouring water on us and telling us to fill it up because we're thirsty. Just put your hands out, fill it up.
All right. One quick thing before we get to headlines. Last Friday, the Virginia State Supreme Court, the majority of which was elected by Republican-controlled legislature, because that's how we do it in Virginia, right? It's not a regular election, and they're not appointed by the governor. They have an election in the state legislature. They're picked that way. They struck down the map that the people of Virginia voted on.
Crazy.
Yeah, they basically said, and I didn't actually think they would do this, because to turn around and say, hey, this constitutional amendment that the people voted on is unconstitutional is a wild abuse of power. And everyone knows it's bullshit. Now, Democrats are confident that they're going to win 2, possibly 3 of the seats. They were changing this map in order to pick up 4 seats. Democrats are pretty sure they're going to win 2 or 3 of those seats anyway. So they're not going to try to burn the state to the ground over this. However, they're pretty fucking mad about it because the state Supreme Court has tipped their hand that they are not operating in good faith. So, after the midterms, Virginia Democrats, working with House Leader Hakeem Jeffries, are almost certainly planning to lower the mandatory retirement age, because we have that here in Virginia.
Oh, must be nice.
It must be nice. They're going to lower that to 54, which will force all of the judges out.
Ha!
So then they're going to just, because Democrats control both chambers and the governorship, they're just going to elect an entirely new Supreme Court, and they're going to redraw those maps in time for the 2020 election. Republicans are going to scream bloody murder. But if they don't shut the fuck up and they keep fucking around, Democrats should just gerrymander the state House and Senate seats too and lock Republicans out of power for the next decade or two. Just for funsies. Honestly, they should tell them, if you keep fucking screaming, we can also redraw the other maps, not just the federal ones. Would you like to be complaining? Press Y for yes.
The whole thing just shows you that Republicans do not care about your voice. They do not want you involved in politics. They do not think that you should have any power. They're going to gerrymander the shit out of all of the seats that they can to keep you from raising your voice. Democrats, we don't care. Have a voice. Go ahead and have your voice. We just don't think that, they should be allowed to completely cut people out of elections, as we're going to talk about more in headlines.
Yep. No, it's just straight. They're just straight up fucking fascist. They don't like the rule of law for thee, not for me. So fuck them. All right. It's time for Florida Woman's favorite section, headlines for short attention spans. All right. Reality TV star turned Fox News talking head, transportation. Let me try that again. reality TV star turned Fox News talking head turned transportation secretary, Sean Duffy, while he was trying to run the United States transportation, which is vast and complicated and in a bit of a fucking mess, he somehow managed to find 7 months out of the last year and change to spend to film a road trip show. Because why work when you can make a reality TV? I mean, come on.
I guarantee you this conversation was like, hey man, I was on Road Rules one time. Can I do the same thing here?
These fucking people. Now, this is the same guy who once cried big sobby tears because Pete Buttigieg took a vacation and he went on paternity leave because he adopted some kids. The fucking nerve of that guy. How dare he actually take time off to be with his family and take a vacation? But meanwhile, this fucker actually said, I'm going to go fucking do some reality TV instead of working. Uh, this was during the whole time where planes were fucking crashing and, banging into each other and all that shit. He was like, I'm going to film some reality TV. What the fuck, right? What the fuck is this guy doing? And this is why our fucking government is a piece of shit, because it's being run by morons. So the question is, how many tax dollars were spent filming this?
I don't know, but I can tell you that the Trump regime said, "Oh, part of Trump's beautification of America and celebration of the 250th anniversary was spent on it."
Uh-huh. And who made money off of it? Like, how much bank were they making off of this?
They said none, but LOL.
Which, bullshit. People were pocketing money. And it's just, I mean, this wasn't like a single episode. This was multi-part episode. Now, the amazing thing is that it was also being sponsored, several of the show sponsors, right? This is from MS Now, including Boeing, Toyota, Shell, Royal Caribbean Group, and United Airlines. These are companies that Duffy regulates them. He regulates them and he oversees them. And it's like, really? Really? You're supposed to be regulating these guys and they're paying money for you to go on a fucking reality TV show road trip. No conflict of interest there whatsoever. Perfectly fine. Totally normal. This is the most corrupt fucking government easily in United States history, and it's probably starting to work its way into like the top 5 in world history, which is really saying something.
Oof. Well, speaking of corruption, the golden arch that Donald Trump wants to build on the Potomac is expected to cost $100 million. And now that money could come from a TikTok settlement that was meant to reimburse child victims of data exploitation. TikTok is expected to pay around $400 million to end this lawsuit that was brought in 2024 after the data of millions of kids was collected while they were using the app. Those people sued, and the company is expected to settle with them. But ABC News reported that the funds might be diverted, quote, diverted to, quote, directly support Trump's efforts to improve the appearance of the nation's capital. So money meant for children who were exploited could go to pay for Trump's arch and broken fountains in Lafayette Park and painting that fucking the reflecting pool blue, and he wants to paint the Eisenhower building white. I don't understand. And as we all know, this is part of Trump's desperate need to force everyone to remember him as a, quote, great man of history before he dies or whatever. I don't know what it is. Immigration affects me personally because of my husband and my family. And I'm very upset about that. And I think that maybe I've just redirected my anger at this because there is nothing that pisses me off more than what he's doing in Washington D.C. Knocking down the White House, part of the White House, painting the reflecting pool blue. It's like a white trash makeover of DC.
Because if it was being done with some sense of taste, or it's like, yeah, this is something that's way overdue or something that needs to be done.
Right, the fountains in Lafayette Park. Like, I'm not mad that those are getting fixed.
Right, but he's not doing it because he cares about what the public think. He's doing it because he thinks it makes him look important, and
No,
it's definitely enriching somebody.
no,
Like, it's
and
definitely a grift.
yeah, it's like he's lifting his leg and pissing on everything. He just wants to touch everything. I described him as like a trophy wife who's in the White House and who's just spending the country's money buying Prada.
Yep. It's like, why not? Why not?
But he's our trophy husband. And he's abusive.
All right. Representative Mike Collins, a Republican from Georgia who's running for U.S. Senator John Ossoff's seat. Good luck, buddy. He's been on a rampage about foreign truckers, and he's trying to revoke the license of non-U.S. citizens. They're polluting our roads and our genes. Now, ironically, ProPublica did an investigation and found he's a big old fucking hypocrite. So drivers for his trucking company, because of course he owns a trucking company, have been involved in 50 crashes in 25 years. His drivers, who are American, have killed 5 people and severely injured 1 woman who needs around-the-clock care from her brain injury. But Collins, who really cares so much about safety on the road, he really, really cares because he's American.
Mm-hmm.
He's a member of the Transportation Committee and has stood in the way of new safety rules for truckers. Why? Because it would have cost his company money.
So just think about that. He is a member of the committee that is regulating his own company.
Again, total fucking conflict of interest and corruption. There are a number of simple technologies that can greatly reduce accidents, like sensors that limit the speed of trucks. So, you can't do 80 miles an hour, or they automatically hit the brakes before an accident, not to avoid the accident, but to reduce the damage and injuries. They can respond well before a human can. Or, sometimes truckers fall asleep and then they plow into other cars at full speed. This would at least slow the truck down and make the damage less catastrophic. But again, that would cost his company money because they would have to outfit their trucks with this stuff. So Collins is like, no, I don't want to spend no money. Remember, he's pro-life. He's all about saving life. But he's far more pro-money in my pocket. Fuck you if you die, loser.
Wonderful. We love that for us. Makes me feel real safe on the road, I'll tell you that.
Oh, yeah.
So we don't have an ICE segment this week, but we're going to talk about this and Stephen Miller. So, Brian Jose Morales Garcia was arrested by ICE in Texas last year on suspicion of being in the country without documentation. Brian was born in Denver. He has a birth certificate, a birth announcement, hospital records from the day that he was born, and a social security card. When he was pulled over, he told the ICE officers, hey, I have my birth certificate and social security card that I can show you. But they wouldn't allow him to do it. He grew up in Mexico and he never learned English. He was born in Denver, but then his family moved to Mexico so that he could grow up there as a kid, as some people do. And he never learned English while he was in Mexico because he didn't really need it. And then he decided in 2025 that he was going to come work in the United States. So he came over through a port of entry, showed them his documentation, including his birth certificate. Customs and Border Protection let him through because he's an American. No problem. And then he got pulled over by ICE in Texas. on the way to work one day. After being held in jail, the ICE officers were telling him, or the people guarding the prison, I don't know who it is, who guards the prisons, whoever it is, the racist people guarding the prison, were telling him that if he didn't fess up to not being an American, they were going to throw him in prison and all kinds of stuff. They were threatening him. So he said, I just told them whatever they wanted to hear so that it would speed up the process. So he lied. He said, you're right. Let me sign this deportation order to send me back to Mexico. Was that stupid? Yes, but as we all know, the conditions in these prisons are meant to torture people. And when you're being tortured, you're not in the right mind. There's a reason why it's a war crime to torture a prisoner and then get information from them. So he voluntarily signed the deportation orders to get back to his pregnant girlfriend, and he was deported. Now he's suing the government to get back.
And I'm sure they're going to fight it tooth and nail. It's like, well, he
are
deported himself, so he's not really an American. It's like, but he is actually an American. Doesn't matter if he grew up somewhere else.
Yeah.
They're going to try and strip him of his citizenship because he didn't grow up here. It's like, that's not part of the Constitution. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, it's crazy, right? Imagine, and he has so much proof that he's an American too. It's crazy, and it really begs the question: how much proof do you need to have to prove that you're an American?
Well, first, you have to have this. You have to have lots and lots of this, or preferably all over your body.
Yeah,
lots and lots of white skin.
That's exactly right.
All right, now, we have to ask this question very seriously. We're very concerned. Is Stephen Miller, is Daddy upset with Stephen Miller? Is he on the outs with Daddy? We don't want to see Daddy fighting with poor Stevie. Now, after Miller's disastrous and deadly policies turned ICE into a modern-day Gestapo, complete with extrajudicial killings, masked agents illegally raiding houses without a warrant, and what could generously be called ICE agents rioting when confronted with unarmed protesters, the Trump regime is facing a midterm wipeout it cannot afford. But Stephen Miller will not and cannot calm the fuck down because he is fully in the grips of Nazi ecstasy. So, Trump, very fearful of losing control of the House and Senate, is reportedly putting muzzle on the rabid animal loose in the White House. The Independent reports that Miller has been sidelined during budget negotiations for DHS funding, and we heard a lot about last year about how Miller had cut ICE agent training by at least half or more to rush thousands, if not tens of thousands, of untrained and unqualified racists back out onto the street. But that program's been killed. They shut that down a couple of weeks ago. And it's weird because that barely made headlines. Do you think that would be more of a story? Now, I know people were complaining because one of the things Democrats were demanding was more training for ICE agents. And people were saying, well, we don't need better trained Nazis. Well, yes and no. Do you want these people out on the streets untrained and who will panic and open fire on unarmed protesters? The answer is no. You don't want them untrained and panicking and opening fire on unarmed protesters the second something goes wrong. Do you want a trained, better paramilitary? No, not exactly. But you don't want them out there screeching and freaking out and going, oh my God, I don't know what to do, and just pulling out their gun and shooting people. That's way more fucking dangerous. At the same time, the plans for Miller's concentration camps are falling apart. The regime is putting less effort. Like Rachel Maddow's been all over this. The regime's starting to put less effort into building Miller's concentration camp. Like he's had dozens of them that he wants open all over the country to hold hundreds of thousands of people, and they're getting blocked everywhere, including in red states and red cities by Republicans. So it's been so bad that DHS is starting to looking into selling some of the warehouses they already bought because they cannot convert them into concentration camps. And there's no point in holding on to them.
I've seen that they've tried to buy like Amazon old Amazon distribution centers and stuff, and the towns are like, absolutely not. Even towns run by Republicans.
Right. And some of the places where they did buy them on the down low, they can't convert them because the cities have been like, absolutely fucking not. You can have that property, you can have that warehouse, you cannot turn it into a prison. Absolutely not. So now, Miller and the White House deny that there's a rift, and that may be true. Miller's notorious for licking Trump's boots better than anyone else in order to hold on power and pursue his genocidal goal of making America white again.
And by boots, we mean balls.
Exactly. He may be ascended again after the midterms. We're going to have to see. But for now, things are not going Miller's way, and he is one of the many people I look forward to committing suicide when the regime falls. Can't wait.
Yep. So, as we talked about in our last segment, Republicans are trying to stop people from voting all across the country. Last week, I ranted to you about the Calais ruling and how it was going to be very destructive for our democracy. And I gave you examples about like Shelby versus Holder, and explained to you how, more than a dozen states had passed like 90 laws after that ruling. Well, now we are seeing that happen with Calais. And the most corrupt Supreme Court in the history of Supreme Courts is allowing it to happen. They ruled for Alabama in an emergency court decision on Monday that allowed them to block a ruling against them that prohibited them from changing the maps. And now they are eliminating the only black district in the state. That's wonderful. In Tennessee, this hasn't gone to the Supreme Court yet, but we should note that in Tennessee, they are also acting expeditiously to change their maps. And there's a lot of pushback in Tennessee. A lot of pushback.
But remember, it's not racism. It just happens to be happening in almost all of the Confederate states.
Right.
No, not racist, though.
You're right. All of the states that under Shelby versus, or under previously before Shelby versus Holder, had to get permission before changing their laws.
So weird.
It's weird. It's almost like this is exactly what the Supreme Court wanted when they chipped away at the Voting Rights Act. So anyways, just a reminder, this is the same court that repeatedly blocked changes to maps with the excuse that it was too close to an election, even when the election was more than 6 months away, when those changes would have helped Democrats and hurt Republicans. But now, when the changes explicitly help the GOP, then it's okay. We're just going to ignore that. We'll ignore all of the previous precedents. It's okay. No problem.
They're fucking shameless. They're absolutely, it's Calvin Ball. It's fucking Calvin Ball. It's just whatever rules we need to make up on the spot, that's what we're going to do.
And again, as a reminder, they never had to mess with the Voting Rights Act in the Calais ruling. They literally changed the case in order to answer a question that wasn't even asked.
All right. Let's get to wrapping up some headlines with some hilarious news. 590,000 inbred morons, devoted, loyal Trump cultists, paid a $100 deposit for a gold Trump phone back in early 2025. Since then, it's been, the shipping dates keep coming and going, no phone. Now, the terms and conditions have been changed. They say there might not actually be a phone, and hey, the deposits, those are non-refundable. $59 million just. Now, I think that Trump is almost certainly going to release something, but it's almost guaranteed it's going to be a repackaged, gold-painted piece of shit worth maybe about $10, if that. And when everyone sues him, he's going to have the DOJ fight the lawsuits for him, and the Supreme Court will strike it all down. Because Trump cultists are the biggest suckers on the planet. They fucked around, and they're going to find out. Boo-hoo. I'm so sad. Breaks my heart. Wah. Wah, 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 wah.
Good Lord. These people are fucking dumb.
Ha ha.
This reminds me of the coin that was sold, or like the dollars, and they were who's shocked to discover that they were worth nothing.
No. What? You mean it wasn't real money?
It was not real money, and they were like, why can't I pay with my gold Trump money?
They're so stupid.
I should just go mining in North Carolina next time I go and try to pay people in rocks.
I'd say it's a Trump rock.
My son does have a...
This is a guaranteed Trump rock. It's worth money.
Let me just tell you that my 7-year-old, he saves money like every dollar that he gets. It seems to be a common theme that him and his brother have. They like to save all their money but spend all mine.
Oh, and like Anastasia, they get along.
And he was bragging one day, the little one. He's like, "Yeah, I have $535. I mean, 235 of it is from this rock that's kind of sparkly, so I think it's gold." That's what those Trump supporters reminded me of.
Yeah, they call fools gold for a reason.
Anyway, so here's some of the best news that you're going to hear this week. If you didn't already know, Ben Shapiro, that piece of shit that the far right likes to pass off as intellectual, who sounds like a robot, like somebody imitating Ben Shapiro, who runs the Daily Wire, a cesspit of far right racism and hate, had to fire about half of his staff because traffic to his website dropped by almost half in the last couple of months. And come to find out, that is happening to almost all of the major right-wing sites. So we have this cool little chart that I'm sure that we're going to add to the show notes. Red State is down 19%. The Epic Times, or whatever the fuck it's called, that one's not too bad. It's 0.2%. Newsmax is down 22%. Truth Social, ew, that one's up. Yuck. That's the only one that's up, actually.
Yeah, the Federalist is down by 51%. Daily Caller's down 29%. The National Review's down 41%.
Fox is down 10%.
Yeah,
the Washington Times. Good Lord.
They're just getting stomped all over the place. They're just losing revenue all over the place. Now,
InfoWars is down 12%, but that was just bought by The Onion, and it has like a gay makeover, so that'll probably be up soon.
Now, there's two theories why this is happening. The first is that Trump has become so unpopular that everyone's becoming a constitutional conservative, right? We've heard that before. Or an independent.
Oh, yeah, they're running.
Oh, yeah.
They're like rats running from a fire.
Oh, yeah. Or the other theory is, since Hungary is no longer openly funding, well, not openly, that they were secretly funding right-wing extremism, they also shut down their bot farms that were funneling traffic to the hate sites.
Oh.
Because the new president came out and said, yeah, we're not funding CPAC anymore. Which, someone should probably investigate that because like we mentioned, that's illegal. CPAC funnels money to Republicans, and if they were taking money from a foreign country, that's illegal.
So can I just tell you, as I've mentioned before in the show, I used to work for a company that had some right-wing sites and then bipartisan sites. And that company also shut down. They were once funded by the RNC. One of their websites was funded by the RNC, and they're no more. It's all gone. The whole company went down.
There you go. So one wonders, you pull all that funding, all these hate sites disappear.
Makes us sad. Well, anyways, on to self-care of the week. I'll go first because I'm a woman and I'm better.
And it was Mother's Day.
So my Mother's Day was really good. I actually spent it on the sofa with the West Wing. And you guys know that I'm always very busy. So just sitting there and doing nothing all day, fabulous.
So did Mrs. Ogre.
It's funny. Unfortunately, my oldest had to work. He actually sent me a text message that said, "Oh, I'm so sorry. I owe you flowers." I said, "Oh, you can keep your flowers, friend." And my husband also had to work. But after he got out of work, we did go to my best friend's house for dinner and dessert. We had salmon. It was delicious. We had tiramisu cheesecake from Costco. Amazing. And then over the last week, I've watched 3 movies, which is crazy because ADHD makes it hard for me to watch movies. But I watched The Green Book, which was a movie about a famous classical pianist who was driven around by like um, like a New Jersey Italian guy who was kind of out of pocket a lot, but they became friends. That was very good. Highly recommend. It's on Netflix. I watched Nuremberg, also very good. It starred the guy who played Freddie Mercury in that movie. Very, very good. At one time, I found myself feeling bad for the Nazi. I was like, that's not good. That quickly went away. Fear not, my friends. I am not a Nazi sympathizer. Went away with a quickness. I felt it and I went, oh, absolutely not. And then I watched Wuthering Heights. Wuthering Heights.
Yeah.
I keep adding an R to it. Who knows? I say milk instead of milk. So, that's that. That movie. So first of all, I had no desire to watch this movie. I just watched it because my best friend was like, I'm going to watch a movie. And I was like, okay, I'll come over. I was sobbing. I'm not going to give any of it away just in case, you guys haven't watched it. I guess it's not at all like the book. But I was ugly crying. I cried more in this movie than I do when people die in my real life. So my best friend looked over at me and she said, I don't think I've ever seen you cry. I was ugly crying. I messaged Ogre on my way home at 1:00 in the morning, and I was like, my eyes are swollen from crying so much. So that's on Max. Highly recommend. Even if you think that you don't want to watch it, just watch it, and then report back to me.
I know it's got a soundtrack from Charlie XCX, which
yes.
I very much enjoy the soundtrack.
The soundtrack is good. You got to watch the movie. Do not watch it with children. Lots of sexually explicit content. Even for the older kids, it would be weird. Don't put them through that. I'm not talking to you, but everybody. Like, don't be like to your older kids, hey, come watch this movie. Absolutely. You'll be very...
Ogre then.
Yeah, you'll be very, very uncomfortable with your kids in the room.
All right. Maybe I'll just tell Lila, you should go watch this with your girlfriend.
Yeah. Or, yeah. No kids in the room. I won't even watch it with my mom, but I'm going to tell my mom to watch it. I also started planning a family vacation for December to Savannah. Now, I'm not really planning it. My best friend's husband is. He already booked the rooms. But we're going there in the winter-ish, as much as you can call winter in the South. It will be my son's 8th birthday while we're there, so that's exciting. If anybody knows of any cool kid restaurants in the area, please let me know. I really like Savannah. My best friend took me there for my 40th birthday. It has a lot of really cool stuff for, civil rights and the Underground Railroad, stuff like that. So I think that our kids will enjoy it. So that'll be exciting.
Nice. All right. For me, so Lila read the anxiety journals, which we had a long talk about them. And because I had mentioned, we were talking about something else, and I mentioned that June was showing up in some of my articles, and she got annoyed with me about this. And I had to explain to her what the anxiety journals were and why I was writing them. So I ended up sending her a link to one, and she read both. And she thought they were very sweet, and she was pretty happy that I was writing them, and because they weren't about her exactly, so she wasn't mad about that. And she thought it was great that people were getting something good out of it and that it was helping me. And now she wants to come back on and record an episode with me because she hasn't done that in like a really long time. So I think sometime after school is over, we're going to have Lila Explains one last time. That'll be like our last episode because she's going to be away at college. And I think maybe we're going to talk about anxiety and depression and compare notes because Lila's been dealing with that for a long time. So I think that's what that episode will be about. And it should be very interesting if I can get her to sit down and record that with me. On Sunday, I woke up at 7 a.m. to cook Spam, bacon, eggs and ground sausage, matzo brie, corned beef hash, and put together a fruit platter for Mrs. Ogre and Claudia Day for Mother's Day. They were very happy and munched down with much gusto. Sunday evening, I took Mrs. Ogre, Anastasia, and Jordan to see Luka Sulik, who is one half of the group Two Cellos, which is either permanently broken up or temporarily on hold for the last 4 years. I don't know what's going on there. 2 years ago, I had taken Anastasia to see Hauser, who's the other half of Two Cellos, because she plays the cello. And I didn't know what kind of show it was going to be, and she was scandalized because Hauser puts on a very sexy show for middle-aged women. And Anastasia was absolutely scandalized by this sexy show, and she's 14, and she's just like, oh my God, what is this? The Luca show was not at all sexy. It was just really good cello music with a backup band and this that, and the other, and it was awesome. And we had a lot of fun. And Mrs. Rosario, beep, Mrs. Ogre enjoyed it thoroughly because she doesn't really get to go out to shows like that, and it's not exactly her thing. But they played, he played a mix of like some classical music, some of his own music, and some Metallica, and he also did the entire Bohemian Rhapsody.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, in cello and violin and piano. So it was awesome. So yeah, Luca did not do sexy. So Mrs. Ogre and Anastasia loved it, and Jordan managed to pay attention for most of it. And I had a great time because I enjoy any of that anyway. So it was a great evening for everybody, and it was a really good Mother's Day. So we had a lot of fun.
Yay.
Okay, that is it for today's show. The Opinionated Ogre, like the newsletter, is free and 100% supported by you, our amazing audience. We have no advertisers or sponsors, so please consider becoming a paid subscriber for only $5 a month or just $50 a year. If you would prefer a one-time donation, we now have a PayPal button for your convenience. Please help others join the Organization conversation by sharing the OgPod on the social media platform of your choice and giving us a 5-star rating on Apple Podcasts or wherever you're listening. You can find me. Oof, what was that?
Puberty.
Apparently. You can find me at the Opinionated Ogre on Substack, Blue Sky, and also on TikTok, where I share a lot of Dungeons and Dragons material. Florida Woman, where can our beloved audience find you?
You can find me at Florida Woman Rants on Substack.
Excellent. There are 172 days left until the most important midterm elections in American history. That time will fly by faster than you can imagine. The regime cannot end this stupid war because they're morons. In November, we're going to show them just how stupid they are. Remember, you are never alone. Stay strong. We beat the fascists once, and we will fucking do it again. Adios.
Adios.
Bye, everybody.